Well, this is going to be a laugh. Time to look into the historical accuracy of Bronze Age Egypt in Rome Total War. The game starts in 270 BC, with a faction that starts in 2500 BC. However, despite this massive gap, I think I've found out why, and it could be possible that the massive inaccuracy was done for a TV show. Welcome to Total War Profiled, a series that looks into the historical accuracy of Total War factions. Its purpose is not to mock, despite how difficult it's going to be in today's episode, but rather to try and find where the developers were inspired from and what influenced their decisions. Now, to truly see the inaccuracy, this is how they look in the game, and this is a mod made by Arazef, which shows how they should have appeared. Before I get into why, I first want to examine the units. They have the units from Nubia, which was a land little further south down the River Nile, where Egypt's empire then did stretch. These units clearly have a different ethnicity in game, which is more accurate for their region. The Egyptian army also has access to camels, accurate for the region, and chariots, which again, they were used during the Bronze Age. They have two infantry units, Nile Spearmen and Nile Axemen, a reference to of course the big Nile river that Egypt was very dependent on. The bronze axe was very commonly used for Egyptian warriors during the Bronze Age. Now this is how they should look. Egypt had fallen to the Persian Empire and then was taken under Alexander's empire and Hellenized. When Alexander died, Egypt became under the control of the companion Pompey I. The Egyptian army adopted the Macedonian style of phalanxes. Okay, so why are they portrayed in this way? Well, the main argument is because it makes them unique. The game already has phalanx-based factions, Macedon, Greeks, Seleucid Empire, Thrace. Why have another? Having Egypt as a Bronze Age faction makes it unique and fresh with a more fun play style. Overall, I like it and I'm happy they went for it. I also believe this was the main reason why they are like this, but there may also be another reason that I've just discovered which I've never seen anyone else mention before. A TV show. On the 23rd of July 2004, Decisive Battles of the Ancient World aired their first episode. The series looked into these important ancient battles and used
new video game technology. You are about to see this great battle as never before.
In the form of Rome Total War to gain
few the generals wish they'd had. Now, on decisive battles.
This is that the series were made whilst the game was still in development. Let's take a look at the episodes involving Egypt. Ooh, they each have one. Based off of the Battle of Kadesh, which was fought between Egypt and the Hittites in 1274 BC. Ooh, right in the middle of the Bronze Age. Kadesh was arguably the first ever recorded battle in history. Not recorded as in cameras, I mean, you know what I mean. Could it be possible, and I think it could be, that Bronze Age Egypt was also made like this to create a unique faction and for the two television shows that aired before release to promote their game? Two television shows that wanted to show off the Battle of Kadesh, given its relevance as the first battle, and two television shows that also needed a Bronze Age version of Egypt in order for the episode to work. I believe it. And there we go, that is why Egypt appears as a Bronze Age faction. As I said, I think the more likely reason is due to it keeping the faction unique, but I also believe the television shows must have had a major influence on it. Before we get into family members, let's take a very quick look at the map. And to be honest, this map is not bad, when compared with the other maps we've seen, that is. Now, they all cut away land, but the general layout of the mainland area is accurate. the lack of territory in Anatolia, what we now call Turkey, but everything else, it's okay. The faction leader, Hekramut, is inaccurate. He did not exist. The only piece of historical reference I could find about the man was that the character spawns in Alexandria and has the retinue of librarian. This is a reference to the Great Library of Alexandria. I could not find anything on him. His wife, however, is also inaccurate. But her name is Eurydice, which sounds similar to Eurydice, who was the wife of Orpheus, some guy in Greek mythology. Doesn't mean much, but maybe that's where I got the name from. And it's like the only Greek reference here. The faction heir is a very difficult one, especially given how out of date the faction is. Now, there's many people with a very similar name, but I couldn't find any direct link to the man in-game to a historical character. Like, it could have been any of them or none of them, I don't know. Another family member is called Fahotep, and I found someone with a matching name, but the only link I could find between these two was that the historical one was believed to have wrote the first ever book in history, Maxims of Fahotep, and the character in-game has the retinue mathematician and the trait mathematics. Okay, that's literally no link at all really, but both of them do seem like intelligent people for their time, and given how out of date the faction is, and how much of a mess this faction is, that's as close as we're probably going to get. The third and final male in the game of age is called Kia, and I did actually find a historical Kia. But this Kia was a woman, so that's completely out of the window. Oh, come on, there's literally nothing historic about this faction at all. It's all just one big mess. It continues. Many children who are not of age have names like those historical characters, but it's just impossible to know if the developers were inspired by these or just matched by random chance. The agents are inaccurate also. Well, I assume so. When I searched for names online, the majority of the websites were just blocked. Onto the buildings. No really unique building here except for the temples, but, well, they have a lot. 5 temples in total. 1 to Osiris, 1 to Isis, 1 to Imhotep, 1 to Set, and 1 to Horus. Isis was the goddess of life and mothering. In-game she provides a population boost. Osiris was the god of quite a lot of stuff, including alcohol, life and fertility. Not in that order of importance. In-game his temple brings increased public order. Alcohol makes you happy is the lesson there. The third is to Imhotep, who has a very interesting story, but basically was a physician who eventually became deified. In-game, this correlates to a health boost. The fourth goes to Set, god of chaos, fire, and you can get the rest of the picture from that. In-game, he increases law. I can definitely see it. Terrify the population into submission, basically. Fifth and finally, Horus, god of kingship, of sky, and in-game gives an all-round boost of public order, law, and a few military bonuses. Finally, something accurate. The only accurate thing for Egypt in this game, and it's to do with their mythology, of course. Anyway, that is all I got here. Hope you enjoyed. This is, I think, the 8th episode of Total War Profiled now. The playlist will be linked at the end if you want to go back through and see what else I have done. I have also begun Paradox Profiled, which will be linked at the end also, where I look into the historical accuracy of events. Next week's historical episode will be voted on by Patreons. They'll be linked below if you do want to check that out. Hope you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and goodbye.